Take breaths. So here I am in my office. It's Thursday. I worked from Met Market this morning across the street because I am getting to a place where I can't be in the same place for very long and still be productive. So raise your hand or send some love if you're also in this place. We're going on a year and a half of quarantine, and we've had windows of respite, but also it's not over yet. And then coupled with all of that is the anxiety, the social anxiety, being around people, and also the discomfort and division that's happening within people that have differing belief systems around it. So it seems like that's all continuing to kind of come to the forefront. And now as we enter into fall and the Delta variant is out there, and we're seeing some also like natural disasters and things in the news, we're going into isolation just because that's what happens when it's cooler. Stepping away from being outside, we're following nature's path and hibernation, and we're going into like being inside more. And I am feeling that definitely. And so this morning and this past week, I've really spent some time figuring out what I need in order to stay in a good place mentally and emotionally. And part of that is not being in my apartment every day. And so I'm trying to find some great places to go to and work in during the day. And I've had some fun kind of reflecting on the recordings from this week and focusing on color and chakra. And so as I took another look at the recording from yesterday, I was thinking, how cool would it be if I could record something around every chakra? So I really focused on red yesterday and the root chakra, but I'm thinking about the wheels are turning around like a chakra course and how it pertains to art therapy. So also give me a thumbs up or a comment or something if that's of interest for you. And maybe we'll work our way from red to orange to yellow and all the way up to the crown chakra and talk about the ways that we can explore these different colors and emotions and developmental stages. So that's something I'm thinking about for maybe next week. We work on chakras, maybe create a chakra series, and also include that piece around affirmation. But for today, I want to give you an art directive that's a little bit more lighthearted, and that is creating our own feelings wheel. So I have two examples. One is a super simple example that I use when I'm teaching art to young kids, and often the autistic population. A lot of schools use colors to associate with emotions. And then also I have a more complex wheel, which I think is really cool for those of us who are going a little bit deeper into our emotional states and being able to recognize the like slices of variance and differences within emotion and how they might connect to emotions that sit pretty close to it. So I'll share an example of that. The image I'm going to show you is from Zoe Kors, who is a therapist, I think. I have to check her credentials, but I took a course with her around intimacy and communication with your partner, and she used this wheel. And then I've referenced it because sometimes I'm like, okay, what does this mean when I feel X? So I was traveling and away from my partner for a week, and I actually didn't miss him that much for the first couple of days. Maybe that's because we've been stuck in the same place for over a year and we've gotten our fill of each other. But also, I was kind of toying around with the idea that missing someone could be closely related to sadness, to not being in the present moment, and also in turn related to depression. And depression is something that I have struggled with. And so I think about if I'm cognitive of being able to change the way that I feel, then why would I put myself in a state where I might feel a tinge of depression? So this is something I toyed with. And then when I referenced this more detailed wheel of emotion, then I was able to see that actually loneliness and missing someone is very closely related to sadness and depression. And so it made sense to me that I wouldn't want to miss my partner because I didn't want to have the feelings closely related to depression, because I've been fighting depression for a very long time. So I hope that these wheels are useful for you. I also, because our theme this week is color, want to give you a chance to like break those wheels open, crack them open, and make them personal. And so we are going to create our own feelings wheels. What you need today, something round to trace. So it could be a cup, it could be a bowl, but you're just tracing the circle, basically. Something to trace with, a piece of paper, and something to color with. Lots of color options, and then a straight edge. So this could be a book or a ruler. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create our own feelings wheel, and then you are going to assign the color that you feel relates to that emotion. And I want to just reference this book one more time because I love it. There is a quote by Jung that says how important the circle is. So often you'll see circles in a lot of artwork and in a lot of art therapy work, to be honest. And that's because it's an ancient symbol and it also represents wholeness. I hope that you will look at circles in a different way. I think that there's something really special about the shape. C.G. Jung says, whether the symbol of the circle appears in a primitive sun worship or modern religion, in myths or in dreams, in the mandalas drawn by Tibetan monks, in the ground plan of cities, or in the spherical concepts of early astronomers, it always points to the single most vital aspect of life, its ultimate wholeness. And that's what we're shooting for. In life, in therapy, we are attaining a level of wholeness. We want to understand our parts and our experiences and really be able to have a completeness to our experience in life. That is the meaning of the circle. So take your object that is round, place it on your paper, and trace it. You're going to get a nice circle. It does not have to be perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. And that's actually what makes us human. And then think about the feelings that you often feel. So for me, that might be grief. So I'm writing on grief. Sadness is closely connected, but I do think there's a differentiation. So I'm going to put that down too. Joy and happiness. Maybe those are two different things as well. Hope. Let's talk about hope. Hope's a good one. Oh, jealousy. Fear. So we just talked about fear being the demon of the root chakra. So I think about that. And anxiety is closely related to fear. I'm feeling like one more. Anticipation. Okay. So your goal is that you choose a color with each one of these emotions. This is my list, but obviously you can choose the emotions that you feel are closely related to yourself. And then you choose a color, just like with the body map, and you create a color key. But I don't want you to just choose at random. I want you to really think about, like, what is the feeling in my body? What is the visualization of a feeling or color when I think about this word? And so in movement therapy, often there's also like, what is the motion for this? So maybe, I didn't plan this, but I'm thinking some of us really need to embody things in order to change them. And art therapy is part of that, but it often only uses our fingers and our hands. But when we embody it in our actual bodies, there is power to change things and neuropathways and rhythms and ways of thinking. It's actually an experience, and we all know that experiences change us. So when we think about the word grief, like, how would we think about that in our bodies? I feel down. I want to just like fall to the ground and be laid flat out. But when I think about it in color, I think about it maybe as like a gray. So this Sharpie is running out, so I'm just going to use it and call it gray. Sadness, on the other hand, isn't like a full laid flat out on the floor, but it's just kind of half of the grief. And I think I would use yellow for that. So I'm just going to go in and add some colors. Pink is joy to me. This is not the pink I want, but it's the only one I have right now. Happiness is maybe my like a green, or no, like a teal green. Ooh, maybe like a teal green and a light blue. Kind of a mix. This happiness kind of flowing. Hope is green to me because there's growth in that. Jealousy. Ugh, I hate jealousy, but I am jealous, so gotta claim it. Gotta face it. Jealousy, I think, is like a dark red. I would actually add a little purple to it because there's a lot of passion in jealousy and anger. Whew. Fear. Fear is black, so I need an actual black that works. So I'm gonna get one of those. Maybe this. This is a black. Because when I am in fear, I like can't see the road in front of me. Anxiety. Orange. And see, I'm even using symbols and I'm not meaning to. So anxiety is orange. And then anticipation. I also, weirdly enough, feel like yellow is anticipation too. So it's maybe like a mix of yellow and orange. So I don't know what that means. If we look at my key, anticipation could be a bit of anxiety and a bit of sadness. One of the cards I pulled today, actually a few of the cards, talked about how new beginnings actually mean releasing the old. And so I think about that with anticipation and change, that we actually, there is a tinge of sadness because you have to release what has happened previously in order to move into a new season. And so maybe, but then maybe there's also anxiety around, like, should I release that? Should we be moving into this new season? I don't know. I'm scared. So maybe that's relevant. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Ugh, it's not even. That sucks. That sucks for my circle. But we have our feelings. We have our colors. You're welcome to add a movement or a pose. And now we get to create our own Jay's Feelings wheel. So how we do that is, if you don't want to go too far into it today, you could literally just create 9 pie slices and color them in, and then it's just literally a reference to use maybe for future artwork. If you're ready to go into your emotional state today, then you can kind of look at this and say, okay, am I feeling grief today? You can use your straight edge, or you can also just do it by hand. Put a dot in the middle. I'm actually not feeling grief, so I'm just going to do a really tiny slice because it's like, there's always a little grief there. I grieve a lot of things. You look at the news and you grieve, right? So it's there. It's not non-existent, but it's kind of small today. I will also say that my sadness is also pretty small. So again, I'm going to just date this 9-2. So we have that. So my sadness is small as well. So that's yellow. My joy. I'm pretty happy today. So I have happiness and joy. Joy. Yeah. So I'm going to do like kind of this. This is my pie slice of joy. All right. I'm not coloring it in because I, for some reason, didn't color it in here. So I'm following my own prompts. And then these are the colors I used for happiness. Pretty happy. Pretty happy. I don't know why. I don't have a reason. But I'm just going to do, all right, I'm pretty happy. I don't know if this is going to really pan out because I didn't plan it, but I'm just kind of going with it. And then hope. I actually do have a lot of hope today. I've been working on my private practice and my website, and I feel pretty good about it. So I'm just going to I'm going to make like a really big hope circle or pie slice today. I have a lot of hope that things, even if I don't understand exactly how it's going to work out, I feel it. I feel more hope. I'm even going to give myself a little extra slice. It's awesome. Because as I look at these, I actually don't feel any jealousy today. So I'm not going to include that. I think I have a little bit of fear around, like, like, what's next? Maybe it's a little bit more than that. Because we might have to move in October, and so there's enough fear. And then my anxiety is, well, if you don't know, depression and anxiety go hand in hand, which is ironic in my opinion, but I didn't create it. So my anxiety feels pretty large today. So I'm gonna make that the pie slice of anxiety. And to be clear, like, isn't it interesting as we look at this that also it feels really good to do this motion for some reason. I don't know if it's the sound or the like bouncing popcorn kind of bits. I don't know what's going on, but it feels really nice. So isn't it interesting that we can have joy and happiness and then also have anxiety and fear? I think that's pretty cool to think about as well. And then I think it's pretty relevant that my anticipation has ended up here because I'm anticipating what's coming next. So there you go. That's a feelings wheel. That is my feelings wheel. And I encourage you to do your own. You don't have to post it if you don't want to, but what, again, is really cool about using these is that you can do them on a regular basis and kind of see how these things change. And when you see this, like say hope is not so big, but fear is bigger, then there might be something you can do actively to change fear, to take action around your feeling of fear. And so the acknowledgement of that is really important. Again, art therapy, if I have not said it before, I will say it again, even if I have said it before, is seeing yourself outside of yourself. And once you do that, then you're able to actually take action, if action is needed, on what that means. So if my feelings wheel was full of burnout and tired and anger because I don't have time to rest or time for myself, then my action might be self-care. Taking a personal day. Changing my job because it's too much. Or changing something about my job because I can't give that much anymore. So these things inform our life decisions. I hope that you will use color today, this week, whenever you would like to, this weekend maybe, to identify your feelings and create kind of a key and a feelings wheel around your feeling state. And this is something that honestly over the years it might change, but it's pretty cool to also see that those colors often remain the same in the long term, because each of us are very unique individuals, and the core of who we are doesn't change. So it's cool to see how that remains consistent. It's another way to access your most authentic self. Have fun with the feelings wheel, and I will be in touch maybe tomorrow with another Make with J mornings regarding our theme for this week, which is color.